Just a few months ago, I was sitting for an interview. You know the feeling of being horribly nervous, right? Like palms sweaty, back stiff, heart racing. Then they asked the first question, the one we've all probably heard of but dread. Tell me about yourself. Gulp, what should I say? I mean, I like going to cafes with my friends. I also like trying my luck at new hobbies, but it got me thinking, what does it mean what does it mean to be who you are? By psychology standards, identity, or as Carl Rogers likes to define it, a self-concept, is shaped by three things: self-esteem, ideal self, and self-image. Said simply, identity is shaped by how much you accept of how much of yourself that you accept, how much who you want to be how you see who you want to be in the future, and how you see yourself now. When I was thinking about when I was thinking of who I want to be in the future and how I see myself now, I realized I think mostly about what I do. So let's take a closer look at that. In the morning, I always start by picking up my phone. Usually I scroll through Instagram, or maybe I'm looking through my email to see what new articles rolled in overnight. And I'm sure many of you guys do too. But how much of that are we actually remembering? Do you remember the last article that you read? Do you remember the last post that you scrolled through? Do you even remember the things I said I liked a minute ago? Now, there are many reasons for this lapse in memory. First off, our memory works by encoding information. It takes in information and then it stores it. However, there's a limit to this. Our working memory can only store about 7 items at a time. When we're not paying attention to something, when we're not attaching a meaning to it, we tend to forget it, it fades, and we're not able to recall it. Now, we're not able to recall it. And when we look later on into how this actually applies into real life, we see that we're bombarded with information every single day. We see hundreds of TikTok posts. We see dozens of news deadlines. We see endless amounts of chats and notifications rolling onto our phone. However, we're not really paying any attention to it, and as a result, all that information fades away. We're scrolling, but we're not actually remembering it. And because of the shift in memory, we're seeing a lot of real issues. As we're trying to recall information, we see that we're not actually able to pull out information from. We're not actually able to pull out information from the top of our heads. Instead, what we're doing is that we're relying on outside sources. For example, when we're looking to write an essay, are we actually researching the information? Are we actually Are we actually using our heads, or are we instead using an AI tool to create that essay for us and retrieve that information for us instantly? When we're trying to build our knowledge, are we actually remembering the info that we need to know, or are we just expecting Google to retrieve it for us later on in an instant? What we see is that our knowledge is based off the amount of information that we're able to pull out, but we're not actually able to pull up that information from our heads in the moments that really matters. So we see that there's a major shift in memory. However, what does this mean for who we are? What does it mean that we're not able to remember things anymore? Well, I can't really tell you that, but I can tell you what we're not. Because we're not able to remember things anymore, we're not being active participants. Now that we're not recalling information, now that we're not able to recall information easily, we see that instead of actually participating in conversations, we're usually just nodding along to what other people say and repeating it. We're convicted individuals. Instead of standing up for issues and having facts and data to back you up, you're instead just relying on outside sources instead of fully forming an opinion on it by putting in the information into your head. And lastly, we're not strong community members. Because we're not able to recall the stories, struggles, and sacrifices of those around us, what is actually binding us? What is actually holding our community together? We can see that because of all these shifts that are happening, at the end of the day, we are being careless with our memory and being careless with our identity. It has begun changing how we act, how we vote, and how we show up for the community members around us. Instead of working to become a better version of yourself, to become a better friend, and to become a better community member and a better citizen, instead of just living your life, you have to remember it. So here's my challenge to you. Instead of just passing through and forgetting a moment in your life that's very memorable, even if it's such a small moment, like a stranger showing you kindness when you spill your coffee, or a larger moment, like, I don't know, giving a TED talk, you should, instead of just moving past it, pause, take a moment, and try to recall it at the end of the day and write it down. And if you take just one thing away from this talk, let it be that we become what we choose to remember. Thank you.